Hi friends, it's Amy, and today we're going to be talking about something that so many women whisper about to each other but never say out loud. What does it feel like when your mother-in-law doesn't like you? Yes, it's a thing. My name is Amy Brown. I make videos about midlife, women's friendships, Amazon favorites, Aldi, and anything else that tickles my fancy. Today, we're talking about mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationships. She doesn't like you, but it's not because you're rude. It's not because you did anything wrong. It's just because in her mind, you walked in as the competition or a disruption, or you're the person who took her baby away from her. So this is a really hard emotional topic for midlife women who already feel like they've lived enough to see the long-term effects, the stress, the guilt, the constantly walking on eggshells. So today we're going to get honest about it. We're going through some real stories, and yes, I will either remove the names or change the names to protect the guilty. We're going to talk about the manipulation, the heartbreak, and yes, the healing. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to talk about the emotional weight that daughter-in-laws carry. So if you're a daughter-in-law, you know this truth deep down in your bones. You didn't just marry your partner, you married the entire family dynamic. And I am not wrong on this. I will fight you. So sometimes that dynamic includes a mother-in-law who views you not as family, but only as a threat. And you'll feel it in the comments she makes, in the side eyes, in the comparison to how she used to do it, the way she treats your spouse like he's 12 years old and still her baby boy. You'll feel it when she compares you to if there's another son in the family and there's another daughter-in-law, how she'll compare the two of you and play you against each other, all sorts of fun. And if you've ever asked yourself, why doesn't she like me, or why does she always treat me like the villain of this story, you're not alone. This is one of the most common emotional wounds that wives carry around privately, quietly, ashamed to talk about it. But here we talk about it. No one wants to admit their mother-in-law doesn't like them. Their own mother doesn't like them. That's a whole nother video for another day. But I'm going to go over some real life stories that might hit home for you, might sound familiar. These are real life situations that real women have gone through. And sometimes knowing that you're not alone is the first step toward the healing. So here's an example of when a mother-in-law posts about you on social media, Facebook in this particular situation. One daughter-in-law saw on her mother-in-law's Facebook page, some people just don't appreciate family. They want to control everything. Hashtag just saying, hashtag blessed. Woo, that's a doozy. She didn't mention any names, but everyone in the family knew exactly who she was posting about. And the mother-in-law, she knew exactly what she was doing. She was using social media to be passively aggressive. So punishing the daughter-in-law publicly while pretending to be the wounded one. That kind of pain hits deep, and it's not just drama, it's very humiliating to see that on social media. So I'm sure several of you out there can relate to that person's heartbreak. And then of course you have the mother-in-law. Here's a different situation. A young mom, told the mother-in-law, No kissing the baby, the newborn baby. Please wash your hands. Please don't publish pictures of my newborn baby on your social media without my permission. Woo! Guess what? This is when the mother-in-law breaks the parenting rules on purpose. So the mother-in-law smiles sweetly. Oh, of course, of course. Then kisses the baby repeatedly, grabbing the baby without asking, posting the pictures online like she won some contest, also without permission, without asking. She wasn't excited. She wasn't confused. She was trying to send the mom a message. I'm the real mom here. You're just the person that married my son. So that isn't love. That's control. So let's go on to another example. When she says the quiet part out loud to your kids. This one, ooh. One daughter-in-law overheard her mother-in-law whispering to her grandkids, "Grandma loves you the most. Mommy doesn't cook like I do. I wish Daddy had married someone sweeter." Imagine hearing that. Imagine that punch to your gut. Imagine staying calm for your kids while you're breaking inside. This isn't someone that wants to be included. This is someone who wants to replace you and disrespect you. I have a few nephews, and disrespect is their favorite word, so I might have to throw it in here a few times because it feels relevant to the topic. Here is a killer one. And yes, this really did happen in real life. I'm cringing. I wish it was false. So one bride shared that her mother-in-law had a beautiful lace. Let me back up. The bride showed her mother-in-law her beautiful lace wedding gown. The mother-in-law smiled. Yes, beautiful dress. On the wedding day, in a floor-length white lace dress almost identical to the bride's, the mother-in-law said, "Honey, yours is ivory, mine is white, totally different," when the bride confronted her. This mother-in-law wasn't confused. She wasn't clueless. She was just competing. And the competition doesn't magically stop after the wedding. I don't know what I would have done if I was this bride, quite honestly. I know what I would do as 55-year-old Amy. I don't know what I would have done in my younger days. But that marriage is going to be rough. That's all I can say with my 55 years behind me. Next up, when she plans a family vacation without you. A mother-in-law planned a big family beach trip. She invited her son. She invited the grandkids, cousins, siblings. But guess what? The daughter-in-law wasn't on the invite. She probably thought maybe, and giving her the benefit of the doubt, that her son would do the inviting. But when she was confronted, she said, "Oh, I assumed you wouldn't want to come." Like, come on. You know, just invite the person. If they don't want to come, allow them to say no. So this is one, this example, this story I've actually heard from multiple people, slightly different facts, but boy, this is a common one. Not getting invited to family vacations. You'd be surprised. And then I'm going to tell another story. I have two sisters. One of my sisters, her ex-mother-in-law, I'm going to call her Tammy. Tammy would come up with so many doozies, things she would say, just verbal punches to my sister for so many years that, I mean, I could almost do a separate video on that. I'll just give you just one little sample, one little taste test, if you will. My sister made a full Thanksgiving dinner, turkey, green beans, potatoes, you name it, and invited her mother-in-law and father-in-law, even though they were not easy to get along with, but she didn't feel they should be alone on Thanksgiving. And my sister was filling her plate, and she made a comment. I don't know if I have it word for word, but something like, you might want to take it easy on those mashed potatoes. She didn't say the word, hey, fatty, but it was implied. So, yeah, that's a fun Thanksgiving dinner. And like I said, and when my sister got divorced, she said something along the lines of, I never wanted my son to marry you. So that wasn't really helpful either. So thanks, Tammy. So here's the emotional truth. Most daughter-in-laws want peace. They're not looking to replace anyone. They're not trying to steal a son. They just want a calm life. Now, not everyone, but the majority. And when a mother-in-law doesn't like you, you feel judged, undermined, excluded, compared to other people, blamed for tension that you never created. And you end up stuck in this tension of, I want to be respectful and I deserve to be treated with respect. And that's a very exhausting, painful place to live in that tension. So what do you do when your mother-in-law just doesn't like you? I'll throw out a couple examples, and please share below in the comments what you do in your life, assuming your mother-in-law doesn't like you. And I have had acquaintances over the years, and you barely know a woman, and she will start talking about her mother-in-law. So, these were not deep, close friends. These are just, again, acquaintances. So, it's rare that a woman will say, oh, my mother and I have such a wonderful relationship. That's great. That's goals. But boy, it is so hard. So what do you do? Number one, stop performing for the approval that you're never going to receive. Some mother-in-laws make up their mind the minute you enter the picture. You could win, awards. You can bake pie from scratch. You could cure cancer. It doesn't matter. They don't like you. They're not going to like you. So her approval isn't a reflection, of course, of your worth. I know that's easier said than done. And here's one you hear a lot about, the word boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. But you have to protect your peace with boundaries. So it's not to punish her. That's not the point of boundaries. But there are instructions for how that someone can be in your life. So you might have to come up with some short sentences that you can just say calmly, that doesn't work for us. We won't be doing that. Or please, speak respectfully. However, that one I could feel like would start World War III. So you don't need to over-explain. You don't need to clarify. You don't need a monologue. Just keep whatever you decide to say to keep your piece short and sweet and to the point. Here is the, like, if I could highlight and underline, here it is. Your partner has to be the one to step in. You cannot fight this fight alone. This part is tough love. Again, 55-year-old Amy. If your husband cannot set boundaries with his mother, you don't have a mother-in-law problem. You have a marriage communication problem. Bam, mic drop right there. That's everything. Because he is the hinge, the bridge, whatever you want to say, between the two homes. He has to step up. So if he doesn't, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you've got a problem on your hands, that's for sure. You need to decide the kind of relationship you're willing to have with your mother-in-law, not the relationship that you've been guilt-tripped into. Some daughter-in-laws, as I've mentioned, are very close to their mother-in-laws. That's great. That's wonderful. I've never met you, but comment below. I'd like to know that those people exist. Some relationships are just cordial. Some are low contact, some go no contact. There is no right answer. There's only what protects your emotional well-being. And before I forget, this whole video has the shift, or the focus, I should say, has been on the point of view from a daughter-in-law. But hang on, because many of us are getting to the age, and maybe a few years off yet, to become mother-in-laws themselves. Ooh, wow, that's kind of a scary thought. Anywho, I'll share a real story about this topic. I had a friend a couple of years ago. I'm going to call her Tammy. That is not her real name. Tammy did not like her son's fiance at all. Tammy had a daughter. The daughter also did not like the husband's fiance at all. They were engaged. They had planned a wedding, and it was very close to the wedding date, and they were just after that son to break off the engagement, break the relationship, and guess what? They won. Tammy won. So he broke off this engagement, canceled the wedding with I'll call her fiance number one. And before too long, he had a second fiance, and he got married to this one. This one they approved of. In that marriage, they had a few boys, I think 3 boys, and the wife had no interest in her boys having a relationship with Tammy. This wife was fine with her own parents having a very close relationship and frequent visits, but oh no, I'm going to call her Debbie. Debbie was like, no, Tammy, you can see them on Christmas and maybe for their birthdays, but that's it. I'm not that into you. So the daughter-in-law was the one who said, no, thank you. And they had a very low contact, no contact, depending on what was going on, situation. So you always wonder there if Tammy hadn't gotten involved, who knows what the original marriage would have looked like. So watch out stepping in, who knows? So, you get a choice when you become a mother-in-law, and you can repeat the patterns that hurt you, or you can break the patterns. You can choose warmth and respect. And, you really have to we have to let our kids build their own families without power struggles. And, that's easier said than done, because you have all sorts of baggage that everyone is bringing, all sorts of attitudes. So I am not a mother-in-law at this point, so that will be an interesting stage if and when I get to it. I don't know if my daughters will choose to get married or they will choose not to. That's their path. But anyway, I'd be an interesting mother-in-law, I think. So tell me in the comments, are you team daughter-in-law? Are you team mother-in-law? Are you team both? And I would love to hear from you. What is the most memorable thing or shocking thing that your mother-in-law has ever said to you or done to you? And feel free to change the names if that helps. I appreciate you watching today.